What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Super Bros podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by Moe Omar. Moe is a super cool dude who I kind of just randomly ran into on a trip to Iceland. He was flying one of his drones over a mountaintop, and we struck up a conversation. Fast forward 10 months or so, and Moe and I are now good friends. I've really enjoyed learning all about his story from humble beginnings to starting his own media company, buymo.co. And Mo also has a very crazy story on how he made $50,000 purely on accident. I really enjoyed getting to sit down, get to know him better, and hear everything that he had to say on his journey to being a content creator. And I hope you guys do too. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Super Bros podcast. I'm joined here by Moe Omar. He's a digital creator. He's got a really cool story he wants to share with us. So, Mo, I'll open it up to you and just kind of let you talk about where you're coming from, what your journey's been thus far, where you're at now, and where you see yourself going in the future. So, Mo, the floor is yours, man.
Appreciate it, Chase. So honestly, as a content creator, my journey's been kind of a weird one. I didn't really foresee myself doing like visual arts type of stuff kind of until I had certain things unfold in a certain way for me. Then all right, there's a lot of different moving parts to your question. Let me
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Start from the beginning. Where are you from, first of all?
all right, so born and raised in Boston, Mass, for better or for worse, my whole life.
Okay.
And I think just that upbringing has really come to like shape me to be like who I am. I mean, it's East Coast cold, all basically like for 8 months, 9 months out of the year, sun goes down at like I think 4 or 5 now. So I'm just like, yeah, like
Up like in Boston. What got you into the creative space? Were you always interested in, or was it something that you kind of fell on?
so the thing is with me is I started creating content at a very young age, but like when I was 13, I made Call of Duty videos. So it started off like
Okay.
with that. I had aspirations to like do YouTube at the time, and I remember pretty vividly like I was one of the first people at the time to have like it's called an HD PVR. Nowadays you just get an Elgato like to like do like
Okay.
the game recordings or whatever or whatever or if you're going to be
Yeah.
streaming. But it basically like enabled me to like get my own game footage on like this old Xbox 360 Modern Warfare 2. That was my poison, man. That's all I played.
Yeah.
And I remember I made commentaries and I actually kind of grew a little channel. I had somewhat of a following. I think it was like 500 subscribers or something like that.
Nice.
But what I ended up doing on the side, and that's kind of what ended up really being like useful for me as far as like my creative journey, like with what I do now, was at that same time I learned how to use I learned the ins and outs of Adobe After Effects, and like the best place to learn anything, YouTube.
Right.
Anything is YouTube. Like anything like you want to learn, like people are out there showing you how to like master it, and like I just followed like step by step. At like 13, I remember like putting together Call of Duty like edit videos at the time, and like I did editing for like some gaming clans, and then that shit kind of faded off into the background for a little while. I picked up photography as a little bit of a hobby, I think, like when I was in high school, like I want to say around my freshman or sophomore year of high school. And then that's kind of like really like the last time I did anything kind of content related, to be honest. But the one thing that lingered in the background for me was this underlying like passion, or this feel for filmmaking. And I remember the movie that did it for me was, I'm probably gonna butcher the name. It's Requiem for a Dream. I don't know if you've ever watched that
No,
movie.
I think you got it right. I've never seen it, but for the people listening who might not have either, what's it
Don't
about?
watch that movie. Don't watch
Okay.
it.
All
It's
right.
a fucked up movie. But
All right.
cinematically,
Never mind.
but cinematically though, it's a masterpiece though. And
Gotcha.
yeah. I was rewatching the director's cut for like the first time in like many years just to like just to see it
You're like,
again.
oh,
And it's
that's
funny, and
a
it's
good movie.
funny at the beginning of like the movie, it literally says the movie, like the director himself, like the movie no one ever wants to watch again.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah, it doesn't have like your like feel good ending like your traditional movie. It's very like it's very heavy
okay.
stuff. But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, yo, the fact that something could impact me so viscerally like that, just through visuals, I found that was fascinating to me. I was just like, and that really just kind of sparked my interest in cinematography and filmmaking. But it was something that I only really kind of conceptualized. It never really like left like the bounds of my own imagination until the doors opened up for me around, I want to say I think it was 3 years ago. And the story behind
Okay.
that is actually pretty insane. Man, do I want to dive into that? It's actually a crazy ass story.
Go for it, man.
All right,
It's all you.
so basic, it was right after COVID had hit, and I remember I was working a sales job at the time. It was cellular sales, like for Verizon, and they were pretty much like letting go of people like left and right. And I was kind of next on that chopping block. They changed the commission structure. I was like, dude, like I just didn't even have any like really motivation to work there anymore. And so then
No incentive to be better.
yeah, exactly. And so then I got fired from there, and then I remember like I went from working like man, maybe 50, 60 hours a week, just like grind and like on the sales floor just to like really like secure myself financially to like having so much free time, more free time than I ever had in my entire life. Like like at that time. And I was just like, I see all these things happening in the background. At the time, there was like the whole thing with Dogecoin going on and like and Bitcoin had crossed 40 for like the first time ever.
Right.
It was a lot. Oh, and the GameStop thing too. Like, the GameStop.
How much stock did you have in any of those?
No,
Did you make money?
so listen, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I remember like at that time after I also like honestly at that I was kind of going through it. I had just lost my job and I remember my unemployment benefits were just stuck in limbo because
Hmm.
there were so many claims going through and I'm getting FOMO, man. I'm seeing all these people making money from all these different things and I'm like and I remember with GameStop, I got burnt so bad on that. I ended up losing, I think it was $10,000 on GameStop. I have like the
Gosh.
Robinhood like statements and everything.
Wow.
And then the thing that like sucked was after that I put like I think it was 6,000 that I put in Dogecoin at 4
Hmm.
cents and I panic sold it for a $2,000 loss at 4 cents. And it ended up going to like 70 cents. If I just held it, I would have made like $100,000. And so like at
That's
this
awesome,
point,
man.
I'm like, dude, I just got fired. Like, I lost my job, right? I've just kind of like depleted my savings, like YOLOing it on all this like stupid shit. And it's like, I could just imagine like, all right, and what does this have to do with like filmmaking or visual arts? Well, that's the thing is like the one thing that was kind of like left there, like in my head was like, I remember when I was younger, like I had dabbled in Bitcoin, and I'm like, I wonder if like maybe I still had some left. And so
Right.
that took me down like this whole rabbit hole of searching through like old laptops that we had laying around the house. We had already moved like several times since, but thank God, my mom's a hoarder and she keeps like a lot of this stuff like laying around. And I went through, I think, three different laptops trying to find a Bitcoin wallet, and all of them was nothing, nothing, nothing,
Yeah.
nothing. And I'll never forget that moment, man. I pulled out that last one and I'm like, wait a minute, this one looks familiar. And it had like a little
Uh-huh.
sticker on it that like, I'm like, dude, this was around the time. And when I was going through all the different computers, I'm like, dude, I'm just giving myself some bullshit to do because I have so much time. And I'm like, why not? You know what I mean? There wasn't a single part of me that thought I had anything, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I already been spent that on something stupid.
Uh-huh.
And I open up the laptop, I'll see like finally I get a hit. There's a Bitcoin wallet on there, and I go through it, and I have to download the whole blockchain. And the estimated time to do that was like it said like 300 days remaining. I'm like, dude, this is gonna take way too fucking long.
gosh.
So I take the file from that, put it on my new on my new laptop, and then
Yeah.
restore it, and it finally starts loading. And then it still says zero, and I'm like, all right, I just wasted all my time. I go to bed, I wake up in the middle of the night, and then for some reason I something just compelled me to just go back and check it again. And when I checked it
Okay.
again, it didn't say zero anymore. It said zero point 0.9 Bitcoin. And at the time, Bitcoin had hit 54,000. So I had basically a full Bitcoin. And
Wow, dude.
dude, here's the crazy shit. I bought that Bitcoin for $5 in 2000, I think it was 2012 or 2013.
Uh-huh.
But I had bought eight. Okay. I, what did I spend the other seven on? I, fuck it. I'll just say it, bro.
Don't even
Oh,
remember.
dude, I spent the other seven on, bro, on fucking shrooms, bro, on the dark web.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Well, at
I
least you still had
hold up, your mic cut
at
out.
least at least you still had like most of one though. That's pretty cool.
Right. That's the thing though, is like I'm like I already knew that story in my head, and I would tell people it as a joke, like, yo, dude, I had all these Bitcoins in there. I spent it all on like shrooms when I was like 14 years old or something. Like, and then I didn't
On
even
the dark web?
on the dark
You were
web.
on
On the
at
at
14.
14, yes, at 14. I swear to
Wow,
God on
dude.
everything. I have all like the emails and dude, it's bro, it was unbelievable. And
You gotta make sure you're not on the FBI's most wanted list or something, dude.
dude, the website was called the Silk Road. If you actually look up, if you look it up now, I mean the owner, the founder of it, like years ago, he got arrested, indicted, and like the website it's been shut down for like over a decade now, I think. But
Hey, you got in, you got out. That's the important part.
But dude, I don't know what it was, but at the time, I thought that I had spent all of them, but when I looked at the transactions, I saw that I had gotten basically like a difference sent back to me by the seller because I had overpaid for it. Because at the time, the price fluctuated like a lot, like it's not like
Mhm.
now. And so I never saw that next transaction. I didn't
Right.
know it at the time, but I had planted a seed for myself that basically like fucking blossomed into like something like that like 10 years like down the road. And I was like, all right, with that money, I'm like, dude, I always had a dream to like start like to get into
Yeah.
filmmaking and invest in like myself and my equipment and like starting like a business. And that's what I did. And just kind of little by little, brick by brick, I ended up buying at first a lot of unnecessary shit. Like, here's
Yeah.
a piece of
Okay.
advice. All right, like this is a really valuable advice for any young men like listening like listening to this, is like if you
Yeah.
find yourself like doing everything but the work, like, oh yeah, like you're putting it off. For me, that was me
Yeah.
putting it off. Like, oh no, I need this. I need this one more thing. That one more thing, then I'll be ready. No,
Hmm.
you're always
Yeah.
ready. You're always
That is
ready.
great advice. That is great advice because I think, and I'm guilty of this too. Like, I could never put words on it, what it was, but I was afraid of success. Like I knew that I had the ability to put the work in, to put the hours in, and like when you probably know how this feels when you find something that you love to do, you forget to eat, you forget to sleep, you forget to move. Like you're focused on what you're doing,
Hyper
and like
focus.
right, and having that level of commitment to something, it's rare with a lot of people nowadays, and they're scared to just take that step because they know like there's probably something really cool on the other side of this, but it's going to take time. So that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's to add, like, to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, it's like, it's, I think the greatest obstacle, like the thing that we kind of have to continuously overcome in that regard is just ourselves, because, we find a lot of ways and excuses to just like kind of kick that can down the road, but you don't need much to get started. You really don't,
Hmm.
especially nowadays, you don't. And if there's a book that I strongly recommend, and it's something that could apply for pretty much anyone in any domain, especially creatives though. It's called The War of Art. Not Art of War by Sun Tzu, but The War of Art
Okay.
by Stephen Pressfield.
Okay.
Fantastic book. that was life changing for me.
Yeah.
And it basically goes over that same concept, which he calls resistance.
Okay.
So strongly recommend that, and just follow up, do the work.
Yeah. I love when people share that stuff on here too, because it's like I'm always trying to get, you know, more books to add to my library, my mental library too. So I think that's pretty cool. So you were
What's your
at a
top? I was gonna ask you, what's your top favorite? Like for you,
my
did
top
you have
favorite.
that mindset shift kind of like book, like it just changed
Um,
things for you?
yeah. So I was deployed with the army. I was in Romania. I came back, and the following summer I read Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Mm,
and so that like I had ambition, right? Like I had kind of a dream for what I wanted for myself, and it was like I want something that's going to pay me a lot of money that will get me out of the military. And I didn't really have a concept of like how I could do that. And that's probably further down the road at this point because dreams change and you get more developed plans and you understand like where you're at in life. But I read that book and it fundamentally changed the way that I looked at money. Like
right,
every possible thing that I had been taught about money or I'd been taught about, going to school to get a good job, working most of your life and saving up money to keep you good during retirement. Like it fundamentally shifted everything that I understood and I realized that it was all a lie. And I just realized like that model of, what our parents did or maybe what our grandparents did where it's like go to school, get a good job, make money until you're older, and then you have enough saved up to last you through your golden years. It's just not true. So I realized that the path to not just being rich, but being wealthy is through passive income. And it's finding ways to create passive income for yourselves. Like, for example, you came into over $50,000 with Bitcoin. Like, that's those opportunities they happen in life and people they just kind of screw them off like they spend money but after I read that book it made me realize well I can put my money into things that will make it work for me whether it's a high yield savings account whether it's real estate whether it's starting a business that can be managed passively to make me income on top of what I'm already doing and I think with where I'm at now I'm still in the building phase, but that book really changed my life. So if you haven't read it, I'd recommend Rich Dad Poor Dad as
it's
well.
classic one. Yeah,
Yeah. Um. So you were at kind of the ultimate low point.
pretty much.
You
Yeah,
you came into some really good money from Bitcoin. Would you attribute that to kind of like a divine intervention? You think you just got lucky? Like
I
I
love
don't
that
know what.
question. I love
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
question.
Are you a godly man? Like what's your take on that?
I'm deeply spiritual, man. A
Okay.
100%. Yeah, I mean those
Yeah.
types of things. I've said this many times. Like to people, I don't believe in coincidences. You
Right.
know, I don't. And for me, like the thing that's come to really substantiate that more than anything else in my life is my personal experiences. Like
Yeah.
that's one of them. But honestly, like it's not even the craziest for me. Like it's sometimes it might be something like trivial, like just meeting the right person at the right place at the right time. Like, you know what I mean? Like that type of thing where it's like it just blows your mind when it happens.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know, some people call it like energy, some people call it law of attraction. For me, it's just like I think we all have like certain paths that you know, are carved out for us in a way, but we kind of have to discover like, how to kind of get through that, how to navigate it on our own. We don't know where it's
Right.
going to take us, but the one thing that's certain is that the journey itself is the reward because it's the journey itself that ultimately challenges us to grow in ways that we never even expect or conceive of. Because like if I were to go back 3 years ago and compare who I was then to who I am now, the journey, man, it's like it forces you to grow in ways that you really appreciate. So there's no that's the thing is like what we do as like you know content creators as well. We have big dreams and big ambitions, like
Right. We
and
want people to see our work.
right. I want people to see our work, I mean, it might even go like crazy even beyond that, like the extent of it.
Right.
But the thing is, there's no certainty at the end of any of
Yeah.
it that we're gonna achieve any of that. But the difference between like someone that might do it like, for the outcome and someone that does it because they truly love it is like person that does that loves it like they enjoy the process. They're obsessed with the process, Like
Right.
we're past that part of like romanticizing the outcome. It's just the process has become addicting, like you said. You get
Right.
obsessive, you zone out, like everything around you doesn't matter when you get so locked into what you're doing, you know?
Yeah, I think that that's huge because I know where I grew up, I was in kind of a more rural, kind of impoverished area of Michigan. And, not everyone, but a lot of people that I grew up with, they're still making the same decisions, they're still doing the same stuff. And I think the most successful people are the ones that actually take the action and they commit to the process, even if they fail like 50,000 times, right? If you could make a video and you could think it's the best video that you've ever come out with, and then you get like 10 likes and you're like, well, why the hell am I even doing this? Like,
I've had
people
that
don't
thought
like what
many
I
times, yeah, many
right. It's like,
times.
oh, people don't like what I do, but ultimately, like, like you said, we all have our own journeys. And I'll tell people right now, like, you and I, we cross paths in Iceland of all places.
In
We were both on
Iceland,
our own.
yeah,
Yeah, we're both. Yeah, wild place, right? It's just so funny the people you meet if you just take the action, if you go somewhere new, if you trust yourself, your intuition enough to get out into the world and to see things you've never seen before. Like, dude, I probably would have never given this a second thought if we hadn't just shook hands that day at the beach. Like, I saw you,
right.
flying a drone. I'm like, dude, that's a cool ass drone. Like, what's your name? You're like, I'm Mo. I'm like, I'm Chase. I'm like, dude, cool. Let's follow each other. And now we're here.
I remember it
I just,
vividly, man. Yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy,
yeah,
dude. Yeah, like that type of thing, dude. Like it never ceases to amaze me, like how it, like because I'm sure there you have like so many experiences where you can like recount on where it's like this person that you met, or maybe even something you learned just because you were
right.
listening to that little voice in your
Yeah,
head, that higher self that's kind of guiding you towards like something,
yeah,
like that greatness, bro. You know what I'm saying? Just to explore the unknown or embrace uncertainty with things, step outside your comfort zone, you know?
yeah. Putting yourself in different rooms than what you're used to is huge
You
because
have to,
you
yeah.
just you never know how much you're limiting yourself until someone tells it to you, right? Like, I thought I was where I wanted to be, and now I'm meeting someone that might be a few steps ahead. Like, I'm not going to be jealous. I'm just going to learn. I'm going to talk to
Yeah.
them. I'm going to see if they're willing to share this knowledge with me. So that kind of brings me to my next question, man. How did you get to Iceland? Like, obviously you came into that money, right?
Yeah.
How much did you walk away with after paying all
So
of your
so here's the
stuff
thing.
off?
Here's the thing, right? Like, I forgot this is a very important part of the
Yeah,
story. It was the thing that really like got me into like filmmaking and diving into it. Like the money opened the doors for me, but the story itself of
yeah,
how it happened was so absurd that I'm like, I need to make a video about this. Like,
right.
in a very cinematic one where for me it wasn't ever about like making the theme of it about the money either. It was more so about the adversity and the challenges that I faced coming into that. Because at that point,
Mm.
I mean, I call it burnout, but really, I mean, in retrospect, it was a depressive episode for me where I was really just kind of like down in the dumps and just like really
Right.
finding it hard to motivate myself to really do anything. And I just remember like after that like little 1-2 punch, just losing that, and then in just some like weird stroke of luck, you come across like
Yeah.
something so ridiculous it's beyond your comprehension that I'm like,
Hmm.
I have to create the video. Now, this is where I'll say this, like, do as I say, not as I do, because that's been on the back burner for 3 years. That video,
Right.
I have the whole screenplay written out, and I remember at the time I even got like a freelance person to help me film it. It just did
Hmm.
not. It was a disaster. Did not go as planned, but I'm all the more thankful for it because I'm actually working on it now. And it took the curve kind of like happening in my journey, like me kind of just like venturing kind of a different route to really learn what really goes into making like a short film like that, the way that I envision it.
Right.
And now I'm actually ready to do that. Whereas at the time, there was such a big gap in terms of like
Yeah.
that knowledge and um
That's huge.
yeah,
That's huge. What's it going to be called?
how I made
Do you have a title?
$50,000 by accident.
Okay. I like that. So shout out Mo. Keep a lookout for how I made $50,000 on accident. It's gonna be on YouTube, I'm assuming.
I'm gonna put it on YouTube, yeah, and then I guess
Okay.
maybe chop up some parts, short form stuff. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. Well, cool, man. I'm glad you're filming that because, like, especially after we do this interview, like that'll probably help kick you in the right direction too. You know, I'll be like, "Hey, man, when's the video gonna drop? I want to show people."
Right.
Yeah. No, I think that's cool that you mentioned that you weren't ready to make it yet because, like, I'll give an example. There's a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill,
Great book.
and literally in the beginning of the book, he talks about how there's a secret that's inside of this book, but if you're not ready to receive the information, you won't know what it is. And the first time that I tried to read it, I think I was like, I don't know, 17 or something. And I just did not understand what they were talking about. I'm like, I'm obviously I don't know what this is. So I put the book down, I left it alone. And like now at 27, I'm like, I get it. I'm ready to receive the information. I've experienced more life. I can bring more value to people. So now that you've kind of gone down the rabbit hole of learning how to be a content creator, maybe dialing in your style a little bit, now you're ready to show the world, like, hey, this is it.
100%. I mean, you articulated it better than I would have been able to, man. Like I mean it just takes it takes experience and like you said earlier, a lot of failure, a lot of falling
Right.
flat on your face. Like,
Right.
I look at it and I describe it as a disaster, but in reality, like one of my favorite quotes, I mean, is failure gives you the information you need to succeed. That's all it is.
Definitely.
That's all it is.
Definitely.
Like, and I had to fail a lot of times. I mean, my content, like with like what I create and the work that goes into it, people don't know how much footage goes unused. How much
Right.
footage that I take that just
Yeah.
like I ends up being like there's so much time and so much effort that goes into it, but it's something I'm so deeply passionate about. And
Yeah.
the best thing, it's a feeling of fulfillment when you can put something out there that people see in there, they're inspired by it or motivated by it, or sometimes you might even get like a little DM from somebody and they'll be like, "Hey, I
Yeah.
saw this video and it really helped me get through my day," or "Hey, it really helped me kind of like get perspective on something." And that's everything for me. Like if I can impact and inspire like other people like by telling those, little stories and being vulnerable, then I mean that's empowering. That's something that, we need more of in the world, man. Because I mean that's the thing with social media is that a lot of it is just seeing like, all
The
the
highlight reel.
highlights, but
Yeah.
that's not life. Life it's a struggle for all of us. We all face our own battles and everything like that. And so I think something that kind of contributes, I think something that kind of adds on to like the difficulties with like creating is like comparison, right?
Hmm.
Tendency to compare, like to like where
Yeah.
other people are at what compared to where you're at. It's like, man, these people, they're so good. For some people, that's enough to deter them from pursuing their dream or something, pursuing what they want to
Yeah.
do.
Like, oh, they're so good. I can't even be on their level.
Exactly.
I'm gonna give up.
Like
Yeah.
they're too good. Like I can't, how could I ever like, and that's the thing is like they were at one point exactly you sitting in that chair saying that. They
Yep.
had to go through the motions
Right.
years and years and years to get to that level. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like I said, social media gives you a snapshot. You only see the best foot forward. You don't see like the late night shots they're putting up in the gym. You don't see like none of that, man. You just see the ball going through the hoop. you know?
Bitch, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym. You know that. So what would you say your style is for content creation? I've seen your work on Instagram. It's a lot of short form, like short stories. Is there how would you describe yourself? How would you describe the work that you do right now?
That's a really good question, man. I think for me it's it's kind of like it's therapeutic for me, man, to make it, you know? And so like as long as like the message that I'm sharing in many ways, it's kind of what I'm experiencing in a way. And it may not even be on a conscious level too. It might be just like subconsciously like when I'm putting these things together. You know, like right now, like I've as of like the last month, I've put out a lot more of that content. I think more so like in that time frame than I have ever before, just trying to be more consistent. And really like I explore all kinds of all different types of themes. Like I explore like themes like loneliness or isolation, like or sometimes it's more like uplifting or optimistic things too. Just like I would say like for me, like I'm trying to just a motivator, just like trying to inspire people through like just through like a cinematic lens, man. I mean, that's the best way that I could try to articulate it. But that's the thing. I think as artists, like it's our duty not so much to define ourselves, but to kind of just expand, but to just expand ourselves to like expand our capabilities, kind of like without restriction, you know, and just try to like take whatever form feels right, whatever feels like can fit. As far as like as long as you are getting, like I said, that fulfillment, like the energy that you put into the work. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. My mic went crazy. Yeah, getting that quality product out versus, just, sending out a bunch of like short videos. It's like, hey, like let's put the work in. Let's make sure this is something that we can be proud of. And, over time, you build enough of those stories out, people are going to see it. They're going to appreciate it. It's I heard this the other day from somebody. It was, you can try to pick your niche for what you want to do with social media, but eventually your niche will choose you. So the people
It's
that appreciate your work,
exactly what I'm trying to say, man. Yeah, like
right?
right there is exactly what I'm trying to say. Like it's hard for me to get like my thoughts like
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, but that is exactly
yeah,
what I'm trying to say. It's like it's more so that it's like I feel like it's whatever like people want it to be. And like I'm thankful for all the people that like have like shown love and like supported like
yeah,
my work, including you, bro. I appreciate that. And
of course.
it's passion, man. You already know. Like I know like there's so much in the pipeline and so much that I aspire to like accomplish. I think like getting into long form stuff would be like a
Yeah,
logical move for sure, the next logical move. And then yeah, man, just consistency is the biggest thing too. That's the thing. Just
cool.
consistency is the biggest thing.
Right on, man. Now that brings me back. What about Requiem for a Dream? What inspired you so much from that movie?
It was for
Like,
me like so the cinematography is beautiful, it's eerie, it's visceral. Like I felt it on a very like it resonated with me on a very deep level. It just had a
okay,
profound impact on me. Like when I first watched it, it was I think I was like maybe 15 years old. And
okay,
I was like f the fact that a movie could be like a movie could impact me on such a like visceral level because of the way it's been presented, right? Like if that same plot line had been just directed by somebody else, for example, right?
right,
Like it may have not been anything of a movie, but the fact that like the fact that it was like crafted the way that it was, like cinematically, like it just it really just imparted like this, I don't know, man. Like people who've watched the movie, like if you watch the movie, like you're just gonna know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, yeah,
because it's just brilliant in that regard.
gotcha.
Fucked up movie, but just brilliant. You know, like
What's the plot line? I gotta know before
it's
I watch this.
it's basically about drug addiction.
Okay,
But
that okay,
yeah.
I can see how that would be very emotional.
Yeah, it's like it's there's a lot of moving parts to it though, and there's a lot of like a lot of symbolism and shit. It's just like
Sure.
it's yeah, you just gotta watch it.
Is it from the perspective of an addict, or is it from like the outside view?
Yeah, so it actually so it follows the kind of like the storylines of like multiple characters at the same
Gotcha.
time, and then at the end it all
Mhm.
converges like, and it's just like it's just super fucked up.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just how I
That's
could
fun.
say it. But at the end, it just all converges, and it's like,
Got
yeah, it's just brilliant. You have to watch. You just have to watch it. It's not
one
gonna make a
time
lot more.
though.
It's not gonna make sense if I explain it. If you just watch it, you'll
Yeah.
get me.
Okay. All right. So you made the money. You started on your journey of you know creating a route for yourself. Are you in business for yourself right now, or are you just creating and then trying to create opportunities right now?
Yeah. So right now, I have my video production company, by Mo
Okay.
Productions. So I've
Gotcha.
And for that, I've done predominantly event videography and aerial videography, things of that nature. That's the professional side of it, you know. You can
Right.
have fun with it, but I mean, obviously for me, it's the creative side of it
Yeah.
that I'm really passionate about. That's how I distinguish the two, is that that is videography, and then what I'm passionate about is film, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, I think one of the things I wanted to kind of explore actually, and I want your opinion on this is like, you know,
Sure.
what has been like, you know, what has been like a struggle for you in creating content? Would you describe yourself as like a perfectionist, or would you say like,
I That's a good question. I think for me, because I when I first started, right, I knew like I kind of grew up. This is crazy to say this that I grew up, but like Logan Paul and I were around the same age.
hmm
Like when YouTube really started taking off, like I think he's probably 30 now, so he's a few years older than
hmm
me. But I saw what he was doing. I saw what like professional athletes were doing with their channels, and I loved watching vlogs. So vlogs were like my safe space. I loved watching vlogs when I was eating breakfast in the morning. Like if there was an athlete that I really looked up to, like Matt Fraser, for example, he won the CrossFit Games 5 times in a row. I loved watching like very dark, like dramatic, cinematic workout videos. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to make.
collab on the way, guys?
Right, dude. I would love that. I'll fucking fly or drive out. I don't care. We'll get it done.
We would create some really fire shit, dude.
Yeah, I would love that. But yeah, so I was like, this is kind of the track that I want to go on, but I don't really know what it would equate to, right? And so I took a lot of pride in like I had a shitty Android phone when I first started being interested in this stuff, and then I finally upgraded to like an iPhone 10 and then the 13 or whatever.
hmm
And I was like, I can make as much content as I want. And dude, I was filming this podcast on my phone back last July or last August. Like that's how minimal the setup was. And it's we're still growing, but I think the biggest limiting factor is most of the time it's equipment, and then it's also like if you're doing it with other people, they don't always share your vision. You kind of have to vet the people that you work with very well, because if they have a completely different vision for what you want to put out there, or maybe they just don't want to put the time in to making the fine tuning or adjusting the footage or the audio, and they just want to put something out there for people, it's not always going to turn out the best, and that's a bad representation of you if it doesn't line up with what you want. So I started to realize like I can't work with everybody. I can't work with you know some of my best friends because they just don't share the same vision as me. And it's not that
This
they're
is a very
bad
good point.
people.
Yeah, this is a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that they're bad people. It's just like they don't understand what I'm trying to produce. They don't understand what's going on in my brain. And
Mm.
like I gravitated towards your content because it actually lined up with some of the things that I value, like kind of that darkness, that dreariness, that eerie feeling to the film, and like just displaying some aspects of human struggle that are very, very emotional for people.
I
I
appreciate that, man. I really
Of
do.
course, man. I like watching I like watching stuff that conveys emotion and it brings out emotion in me because it's like those motivation videos, like,
Exactly.
you know,
That's everything for me,
David
man. Yeah.
David Goggins, right? Like,
Love
the dark
Goggins.
yeah, the dark brooding theme, like, hey, I have something to prove. I'm coming out from nothing. Like, I'm gonna eventually be in the light, but watch me work in the dark. I think that's what my theme is, and not a lot of people understood that initially. So it's been equipment, it's been people, and then I would say sometimes it's just time and, like, not having enough time to set up every shot when you have to get a workout in. Like, I film myself a lot and I try to make good videos. I'm working on making them great, but it's a learning process, just like So
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's like, I mean, like I said, it's one of those things where if someone doesn't share your vision or your dream for something, there is absolutely nothing you could say or do to get them to be on. No one's gonna be on board like you are. Nobody is going to have the passion and the drive that you have. And it's like I also had to learn that lesson, like you know, with one of my best friends when I needed his help, like filming. They're not going to hold things um, to the same standard, to the same um, significance that you hold it in ever. It doesn't matter.
right,
And so in a lot of ways, it does become like a journey where you're kind of venturing out into the unknown, and oftentimes alone by yourself. A lot of people are going to be alienated by by how like
yeah,
by your dedication, your commitment to something that hasn't really shown much to other people. It's like, hey, bro, like you're doing all this work, and it's like you only got like X amount of. I'm like, yeah, and I'm gonna keep doing it,
yeah.
and I'm never gonna give up.
I think that the content that you and I put out is a direct reflection of, like, what we're trying to get out from our own minds.
Exactly.
Like, we're trying to just convey this scene, like, hey, this is what I imagine is going on in my world. I want to be able to show other people. So that's really cool, man.
Yeah, 100%.
When you Did you have a mentor that you leaned into? Were there certain rooms you were putting yourself in to kind of help hone your craft? Like, talk about that. Talk about people that inspired you, what you tried to emulate.
So that's another really good question. I actually spent a whole year before I even started posting, just learning like the this really establishing the technical foundation, you know,
Hmm.
to film because there's so many like moving parts to that. You have to master exposure, composition, the framing of a shot, the color of a shot. And then there's the post-production process where like how you color grade it, right? Like certain colors might
Right.
evoke this type of dark feelings, other colors might evoke whatever, other type of feeling, right? Like there's so many
Mhm.
intricacies that go into it that that's really what makes something cinematic is it's not just one thing, like it's not just the shot, but it's all those layers that shot is made up of, which is, like I said, the composition, the framing, the exposure, the color. That's what makes something. The lighting is a huge one. I mean, you could make something look cinematic on recording on anything if you're really, really like an expert or master at like shaping light. I mean, lighting on its own, there are people that go to film school just to learn that. So you
Wow.
just kind of have to do your best on that part. Can't expect like
Yeah.
all that much, but it's like, yeah, it goes that deep. And so I spent a lot of that time learning those things.
Who did you learn from? Was it just yourself or you took?
So yeah, so a lot of it self-taught. I mean, I have a giant book like where it's literally called cinematography, and it goes over like brief history of it, modern techniques and modern and like modern like directors, and it's a whole book full of like just filled with like gold mine of like information. And
Nice.
I just went through it, and I literally still have like my journal where I was literally sitting there like just note taking and shit like that. Because for me, that was how I was really gonna absorb information like the best. But it got to a point where like I said, like even studying something, it's like that's partly resistance. You're just kind
Yeah.
of,
Taking too long to actually take
putting it
action.
right. You're putting it off, right? So one of the things that the book The War of Art even talks about is like it's not that it's bad to study, but it's like, look, limit yourself at most to like maybe two books or something, and then
Yeah.
from there just take the reins and just fuck it, who cares? Go for it.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many things that people will say. It's like, oh, I need to be in the right mental space before I can start doing it, or I need to be in the right, oh, I need to move to this place first, or have X, Y, Z, or whatever, you know what I mean? And just start and just do it and don't look back. Like there's so many
Mm.
things that that I mean, you just evolve. So many things you look back on and you look back at it fondly. Like you're like that you
Right.
started there, that was your beginning, and like that you evolved in such a, you know,
Yeah.
in a beautiful way. Like it's part of the journey. So and it and I'm
Definitely.
not immune to it. I still have a lot of those struggles, you know what I mean? Like perfectionism is one that has been the most difficult to overcome, but I'm chipping away at it day by day.
That's all you can do, man. And I think that's something I've noticed a lot of too. Is like there's people that come and go, and they say they want to do this, that, and the other thing, but they always wait for perfect circumstances in order to take action. And it's like, well, just think of the library of information that you're going to have for yourself if you just take steps and do something. Like I remember when I first started filming anything, it was like a Walmart camcorder, like
Yeah.
just the grainiest footage you could find. And I was like, man, like I'm so good at this. Like this is awesome. Like I know how to put, different shots together. And I would like put it on my little shitty computer, and I would just I'm like, yeah, like I made a movie, man.
But
And
the
then, you
genuine
get
fun
bored.
from it, though, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the joy from it, man. Like,
Yeah. I love it. I love looking back. And I mean, I didn't even remember that until you started talking about it. I'm like, wow, I started on a Walmart camcorder, so that's pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah, I mean that reminds me of a quote from this other book that I read. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it's called Show Your Work.
Okay.
Also a great read. And it's that amateurs have many options, many possibilities, right? But experts, they have few.
Hmm.
And he goes on to this, like, to elaborate on what that means. And it's like, as an amateur, as a beginner, when you're just starting out, you're not within these confines of like whatever self-imposed rules that you're, of creating. Like you just pick something up and you're like, okay, that works, and you just start making
Right.
anything. You have limitless like possibilities for your creation. But then as you start to create more and then familiarize yourself with the I guess
The
the
nuance.
rules or guidelines and stuff of the craft, you start to box yourself in and you're like, oh no, I can't do that because that's, you know what I mean, or I can't do this because that would be like, because because you have these subconscious rules that you're putting in place. So
Hmm.
the conclusion like that he draws there is like be an amateur. Be
Yeah.
an amateur. Because if you're not scared about, like how people are going to perceive you or your work, you might, by having that mentality of being an amateur and just putting out whatever, even if it's not Picasso, you never know
Right.
what might resonate with someone. It might be something you never expected. It might be literally something that to you think it's dog shit. And it's like to everyone
Hmm.
else, they're like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So be an amateur.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah. I love all that. Just putting yourself out there, because you look back on kind of the evolution of technology too. It's like we have, I mean, what was really high quality 10 years ago is outdated now, but it's like people don't know the difference. People don't
Mm.
know the difference. They just see that what you're making is different than what they're putting out there, and they're like, well, maybe they've got something that I don't have. Not to say you want people to compare themselves, but it's like you're still taking more steps than the average person would be just by trying and going to fail. Be an amateur, take the steps, take a leap of faith. I was gonna ask you, what brought you to Iceland? Were you traveling a lot before that,
I
or was it
love
just
that
kind of an
question,
off the
man.
cuff?
I love that. I love that question,
Yeah,
Super Broke.
I actually have an Iceland shirt on right now. So
Dude, first of all, I would love to go back, bro. And look, if we go, we gotta go together or something, get some crazy footage, bro. Like that place is so crazy to film in. I'm
I'm
probably
down.
banned from there though.
Yeah, for your speeding
Yeah,
ticket.
the speeding ticket.
I saw that you posted something about that, and you're like, dude, they got me.
They caught me in four. Dude, the fine was $1,000 USD, and I got two of them. So at the bare minimum, I'm probably blacklisted by those car companies, and you need a car to get around there.
Wow. Well, we can do it under my name.
Right? That's true. Just no
Yeah.
speeding. You got to go at a snail's pace, even though it's a
I
straightaway
didn't
with
get any
nobody in
tickets.
sight.
I thought I was gonna get some tickets, but I didn't, so I'm happy.
Dude, I got screwed on that. But yeah, like dude, I bought the ticket and I flew out the next day. I swear to
Nice.
God. That for me, that was a totally spontaneous trip. I just kind of was like, I needed a change of scenery. Like I just was sick of being like at home. I needed a change of scenery, and I looked up literally like just places to go with whatever that are nice to film in or whatever. And one of them came up was like Iceland, and I looked up tickets for each of the locations, and Iceland happened to be $300 round trip for the flight the next day. And I'm like, I'm going
Wow.
to Iceland. And one of my things with traveling, I never look up the places beforehand because I want to see it like I've never seen it before. And when I got off there and I started driving by and seeing like these, oh, there's a mountain there. Oh, and there's one there too. And then there's one there too. And it's like, dude, it's like the most insane landscape.
Yeah.
Horses just like roaming around, like waterfalls, all that. I was like, bro, this shit is
Right.
just so beyond beautiful.
It's
It
it's
felt
almost like,
spiritual.
yes, that's what I was gonna say. It's
Yeah,
almost like prehistoric. Like someone
yeah.
forgot about it and was like, "Here, just have that, and we're not gonna touch it." And like I almost like not telling people about it because I want to go back and have it be the same. I think Iceland is it's so fucking cool, dude. Because number one, people don't really want to live there. It's cold, which makes sense. But they have so many laws in place to protect their nature, and I love that
I
because it
love it,
makes it
man.
easy for guys like you and I who are there for like the genuine love of the landscape. And I don't think that any of the 3 or 4 thousand pictures that I got could ever do it justice, but I'm gonna try. So I loved it
Yeah.
there. I'm sure you did too.
Yeah, for me, man, like that shit was like that was one of my best trips, and it was totally spontaneous. Like the only thing that I think could like be on par with that, or potentially better, I don't know, is Switzerland, because I've seen some
Yeah,
pretty insane shots from there, and I'm just like, that looks breathtaking. I can't even imagine how I would react like seeing that in person.
yeah. I think there and going to the glaciers, going to like Banff National Park in Canada. I want to go to like Patagonia, dude, somewhere in South America or like Ethiopia and just be in the mountains. Like I don't know what it is about cold weather destinations, but
I like the
I think
colds. I like the
I
colds.
do. Yeah. I think I appreciate it more because it creates that sense of like cozy camping. We were
Yeah.
in van. You were in a car. Our family was in a van, and we were all driving around the island. But were you by yourself when you were out there?
Yeah, went totally by myself out there, and
Nice.
yeah, man, it was dude, I just remember like the thing that was crazy to me was like would the sun would set at like 10 p.m. and then it would rise
Yeah.
at 4.
You're like,
So
what?
I'm like, dude, it's daylight the whole day. I'm sitting there thinking like,
Yeah.
man, like I
Yeah.
really want to get so much footage, but I mean the sun's probably gonna go down any second now, and I'm like, bro, it's like
Yeah.
it's like fucking 10 o'clock. It's still not down.
Dude, it was hard because I mean, we would be up till midnight, like 1 in the morning, and we're like, we're not tired. Like, it's literally full daylight outside. So
Yeah.
you would have to like shut the curtains, and then you'd wake up, you're like, still daylight. Like, guess I'll get up and make breakfast.
Dude, yeah, it was such a surreal experience, bro. Like there's one thing that happened there that like I will never forget. It's when I went to the top of I hiked to the top of that's where I met you like at that beach area. Like
You went up to the top.
I went to the top.
Ah,
Dude, I
okay.
went all yeah, so I went all the way around and I asked like a local there, I'm like, dude, is it possible to get on top of that thing? And he's like, oh yeah. And then he gave me a map. He showed me he gave me a map, bro, like and he showed me and everything and I'm like, I have to get to the top of that thing and get an insane shot for like a video or something. Dude,
Yeah.
I shit you not, I almost died on top of that thing. I shit you not, I almost died. Thank God, before, like for some reason that day, that morning, I stopped at like an athletic store and they make these like in their Iceland brand like these things that keep you warm.
Yeah.
It's like a windbreaker almost, but what is it like
Oh,
an
was it?
anorak or something?
Yeah, like 66 North or something. I don't
I
know what
don't
the
remember
brand
I don't
was.
remember the name, but it's like they're like that shiny reflective shit and they just keep you like so
Yeah.
warm. Dude,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just happened to buy that, and if I didn't bring that to me, bro, I would have, 100%, I would have just fucking died. I went up there
That's
and
weird.
so first I tried driving up there with my front wheel drive like car, which it explicitly says
Mhm.
not to do, which definitely pissed off some of like the locals there. Sorry, locals, I'm
Yeah.
stupid as hell for that, but the car got stuck halfway, and then I'm like, all right, well, I gotta just park
Gotta
this thing
walk.
here and then walk the rest of the way.
Right.
I get all the way to the top and I'm like, dude, I'm so out of shape, bro. I'm literally like huffing and puffing, bro. By the time I get to the top, I'm like, dude, I can't do the rest of this with my backpack on. So I leave my backpack behind too. I'm like, nobody's gonna take that. And so all I
Yeah.
have in my hand, I have two things. I got my drone and my camera, and I'm like, I'm gonna get to the edge of that muff. That was it took me from the moment I said that, like 2 hours later to get to that to the edge of it. And by then I had already had to abandon my camera too, because I'm like, dude, I think it was like a miles that I had hiked up at that point, totally underestimated. I'm like, dude, I don't know how I'm gonna get back. I don't know where the
Yeah.
trail is. The sun's going down. It's so windy up there, bro. It's so windy that the wind is like literally like it's the type of wind that it's holding you up. You could you could lean back on
Oh,
it and it's holding you up. And I'm just like, yo, let me just like sit down for a second. And I just close my eyes and I'm like, I just visualize myself like finding where I put my camera, finding my backpack, and then just getting back in like my warm car. And I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be me.
yeah.
And bro, by the grace of God, bro, like I just pick up random direction because the top of it, bro, it's like you can't see shit. You can't
Hmm.
see shit. You can't see where the trail's back at the direction I went. And then I
Right.
just stumble. I just happen to like as I'm walking down, I just step over like kind of like one step down, and then my camera is right there. And then from there, I'm like, oh, I know exactly where to go. I made my way
Yeah.
back, bro. I just remember I took my camera out on the way back down the hill, and I'm like, yo, I can never give up on this shit, bro. If I was willing to do all that for a shot, I promise to if you're watching this future, Mo, don't ever fucking give up on this shit.
It's the journey for the shot, man.
And I didn't
People
even
don't
get the
get it.
shot too because it was too windy, bro. My
Right.
drone could not fly up there. It was too windy.
Right. That's awesome. No, I love that. And you're the reason they put signs up, man. You are the reason. You're that guy.
I was that guy.
But yeah, like there were chains and stuff all along the cliff edges, and like there was one that was down specifically so that people could take pictures. And they're like, "Yeah, like we just kind of gave up because these people are idiots." I'm like, "Well, that's me and Mo." So, uh, but yeah, the journey for the shot, man, it's a lot of fun, and you get like so wrapped up in it. I was in Scotland before we went to Iceland, and there's a picture of a tree in front of a mountain, and there's a river running through, and then this like the fog right on the
Uh-huh.
mountain crest, and I was like, I could see it. I was like, dude, that's fucking epic. Like,
Beautiful,
I
right?
have to get, I
Have to
have
get
to
the
get this
shot.
picture. And so I was there for like half an hour just taking a picture of this one tree, and like people just don't understand how fun that is and how good it makes you feel when you get it and you're like, oh yeah,
Dude,
that's going to my living room, dude. That's
it's
going
like
to my living
nothing
room.
else, man. It's like nothing else. And the other thing too, man, is like it's like this might be the only time I see the fucking thing. Who knows, right?
Right, right. I want that picture in my mind forever. You know.
Exactly. So I'm happy with like, I mean, everything was so last minute for me, but I'm so happy with just what I captured while I was in the experience itself too, man, was just like, man, I love it. Love it. 10 out of 10. Go
Hell
to
yeah.
Iceland. Super underrated.
Hell yeah. Are you have anywhere? Do you have anywhere you're planning to go next, or that you want to go,
Uh,
or do you have anything that's
I
like
think
set in stone?
I think nothing's set in stone, but Switzerland is high up on that list for sure. I was
Okay,
thinking, man, honestly, I was thinking of going, the fuck is it called? Oh yeah, yeah, Colorado.
Colorado would be cool. I've never
Yeah,
been there.
Colorado. I think it's
We should try to plan it.
Boulder. I think that's the name of it. But I saw
Yeah.
like some really, really beautiful um like nature reserves and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
like a lot of people go just for those attractions and stuff like that because it's like it's that stunning.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
definitely.
you know what? So there's that, and there's Utah, Zion National Park. If you've
Yeah,
ever been
yeah.
there,
That's another.
definitely, definitely go there. I didn't get to fully experience that because we didn't go to like Angel's Landing or anything. But I mean, even the just regular pictures, you're like, oh my god, dude, that's crazy. So there's so much of America to explore. There's so much of places like Iceland, South America. Like that's my whole thing. Is like just get out and see the world because I don't know. I feel like I get personally brought closer to the creator when I go to places like that. I'm like
For me,
I'm
that was
just
100% my feeling.
constantly humbled, man. Constantly humbled by how small I am.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and
So
it also made me realize, man, I am so not a city person, bro. Like
right,
I feel like, dude, let me set up camp. Let me set up camp out here somewhere. I'd be happy as a motherfucker, bro. Like
yeah,
waking up to that
absolutely,
every day, dude. City life was like,
yeah.
yeah, it feels
Where are you
soulless
at
compared to
now?
that. I live in
Are
Boston.
you still you're still in Boston?
Yeah.
Okay,
Right now I'm in Hartford.
nice.
I'm visiting my sister.
Okay, well, cool, man. Yeah, we'll have to put together like a creator trip of some kind. I don't know if you
We have
have,
to, bro.
you know,
That would be so
if
fire.
you have anybody that's interested. Like, I mean, it could just be you and I, but you know, get a good group of people and just pump out content, man.
That would
That'd
be
be
fire.
awesome.
You go snowboarding?
I haven't been since seventh grade, and that's when I broke my arm on the bunny
Oh my
hill. So
God, shit.
addict, dude. But I think I'd be better now. I'd know how to do it now.
Well, it's cool because I personally have not been, but my friend, I have a good friend of mine who also like makes content and like
Okay.
he grew up like in Vermont in that area. He knows all of like the dude,
Yeah.
he's obsessed with it. And I'm like, I want to do it so bad. I feel like it'd be so fun.
Yeah. 100%, man. We'll link in after and try to see what we can do down the road.
100%.
But we're about an hour now, so I think what we'll do is we'll just do like a little speed round of some
Let's
questions, and
do it.
then yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll hop on a part two at some point. But yeah. So let's see. All right, favorite color.
Black.
Black. Okay, I can tell. So you got
It's a
black,
little dark in
black
here.
background going.
I kind of want
Yeah,
to put
the
the light
sunset.
on.
Sunset's early.
Yeah, like I had the sun.
Okay. So we did favorite color. We did pretty much favorite book at this point. If you had one piece of equipment that you would recommend to a beginner, what would it be?
That is a really good question. Content creator, beginner, a good quality tripod.
Okay, good quality
A good
tripod.
quality
All right,
tripod. Invest in a good quality tripod.
gotcha. And then if you could say anything to 15-year-old Mo right now, what would it be?
Man, keep your head up, bro.
Keep your head up.
Keep,
Good things are awaiting.
yes,
Cool.
100%.
So, if people want to find you on social media, on YouTube, if they want to reach out and do work with you, or they want, just some cool ass videos from Mo.co, how can they find you?
All my handles at buymo.co. So
Okay,
all the same for Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, YouTube, like all the platforms. Buymo.
cool. All right, guys. So, by Mo.co, we'll tag them in the video once this is released. But yeah, dude, it's been a pleasure having you on. Like this
Pleasure,
turned
man.
into
It's
something
dope, dude.
completely unexpected. Like I'm glad we got to have a longer conversation than just a handshake. So
Right, dude. Yeah.
by all means, you're welcome. You're welcome on the Super Bros podcast anytime you want to hop on, man.
I'd love to, man. Fire conversation.
All right, brother. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for coming on. And guys, thanks for listening. Till next time. This one's for the bros.
For the bros.